Dear friends, once again a nice evening from Brussels. We continue to provide information from today's European Council. Today's discussion in the European Council on Ukraine confirmed that the entire Ukrainian war has remained on the back of the European Union. Instead of focusing on a realistic peace plan for Ukraine, as the still powerful global powers have been pushing for, the discussion is dominated by taking 140 billion euros for 2026 and 2027 to cover Ukraine's war and state spending. It seems that the big players, and sometimes I say the big boys in the Union, are counting on the war to continue for several more years. And they believe that this strategy will exhaust and weaken Russia to the point where it could be a viable option. During the course of the military conflict so far, the European Union and its member states have provided Ukraine with 177 billion euros. That is the figure included in today's European Council conclusions. Slovakia is also helping, but only in a humanitarian way. And as Prime Minister, I adhere to the principle that Slovakia will never financially cover Ukraine's military spending. So in the next 2 years, Ukraine is to receive another 140 billion euros from the European Union, primarily for military spending. If we use this amount to increase competitiveness and at the same time reduce high energy prices, we would all feel a visible improvement in the European Union. The appetite of member states to finance Ukraine's military needs directly from national budgets is of course decreasing, even among the biggest military hawks. Therefore, there has been an appetite for frozen Russian assets in the aforementioned volume, which could be used as a loan to Ukraine, which of course will never be repaid, but for which individual member states of the European Union are to guarantee. Japan also has certain frozen Russian assets. However, it stated quite clearly that it would be illegal to use them for Ukraine's military spending. It is evident that the prime ministers of the member states of the Union are fully aware of the enormous risks associated with confiscating frozen Russian assets for Ukrainian needs, the risks of violating international law, risks of lawsuits from Russia, but very risks of harsh Russian retaliation. I consider it a huge mistake that the proposal to confiscate frozen Russian assets for Ukraine appeared in public before the Commission provided answers to all possible risks mentioned. However, this piece of Russian cheese smells very much like European hawks. Expectations from the confiscation of frozen Russian assets are huge, but they may encounter reality at the next European Council in December, when a decision is to be made and end in a fiasco. That is why I suggested that the possibility of confiscation should not be mentioned in today's conclusions, and that the Commission should also propose other options for financing Ukraine in the next 2 years. My proposal has been accepted. Whatever the decision, I want us in Slovakia to be completely clear about this. The government I lead will never, ever sign any loan guarantee for Ukraine for military spending. We will also not spend a single cent from our own state budget for such a purpose. We are ready to help in Ukraine, but only in a humanitarian way, as we have shown recently, for example, when we delivered to Ukraine mining machines or excavators for removing ruins. Good night from Brussels.